So for this dish we have barley that has been soaked in the water for 8 hours. So it stayed soaked for 8 hours overnight. After that, after these 8 hours, you need to rinse the bulgur. Now barley needs to boil, cook for about 40 minutes. So I'll just put it to cook now. Now still boiling. There's another about 10 minutes. You can also boil it in advance and kind of have it in the freezer or in the fridge. So not for too long in the fridge, but in the freezer you can have it already prepared. When it's cooked, I'm going to rinse it. Also being rinsed, waiting to make orsotto. You will need orzo, barley, already cooked, parsley, you need olive oil. I use a little bit of garlic granules, but you need garlic, you need onion, and you need seafood. You actually need squid, but the squid is hard to find. And this is the ink, made from the squid. This is your main ingredient to make the risotto or orsotto black. This one you can buy it in Waitrose. Okay. So the original version of this dish is Croatian black risotto, but I use orzo, means barley, and instead of rice, and instead of squid that is used in Croatia, I use seafood, mix of seafood, which I will show you later. So first of all, I'm cutting the onion, and I will soon use a bit of a garlic and spring onion. The spring onion doesn't really go into this dish, but I quite like to put a little bit. So I'm now cleaning the onion and I'm about to cut it. The onion needs to be finely cut. Also for this dish you would need white wine, but I didn't have the white wine, so I'm using the red wine. It's because it's black anyway, so it wouldn't be red wine wouldn't be noticed. So just washing the onion, and I'm about to cut it. It has to be finely cut, but I don't really have nerves for fine cutting, so smaller pieces you can get, that's better. So I am now going to put the olive oil. My auntie said 7 spoons of olive oil, but I will put about 5 to make it a little bit less olive oil, because 7 spoons would go for the whole squid. So it's about 5 spoons of olive oil in there. So the mixture of seafood, I'm putting the onion straight away. and I will also put garlic as soon as I clean it. So the mixture of seafood I bought in Lidl. You can find this in Iceland as well, but I find the Lidl's version nicer. This is why I prefer to buy theirs, and the price is about the same. So now I am going to cut the seafood, and I kind of take a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of the seafood. If you could find a squid, that's good. If you find it cheap, sometimes they sell it in Waitrose, but from my experience, finding a fresh and nice squid is quite hard in London. This is why I use the seafood mix instead. And also, I am the only person who likes this in my house, so I just make it from time to time when I feel nostalgic. So for me personally, it's not really important that I have squid in there. The seafood mix is also quite good for me. This meal is quite healthy as well, because you get all the seafood and barley instead of rice, which is obviously more healthy than the white rice. My onion is burning. I have to hurry up with this, with cutting it into smaller pieces. So the even smaller you can get is better. Maybe I should have prepared it before, but I didn't. So as you can see, it's the frozen seafood is easy to cut. So now I'm going to cut the garlic into small pieces. I have here about 3 to 4 pieces of garlic. I will see how much I will use, but I think the 4 pieces is maybe better, and then they're quite big pieces. So 4 pieces of garlic, and I'm now going to put the garlic into the mixture of olive oil and onion. I'm going to move it from the open fire because it will burn, otherwise the garlic doesn't really like the heat very much. It burns quite quickly. So I will now mix it quite well for the garlic to, the smell is really lovely. The mixture of garlic and seafood mixture gives a perfect, really a perfect smell already. Okay, so I will now put the bit of spring onion that I in Dalmatia actually the spring onion is not used, but for me personally it gives a distinctive smell which I like. Is maybe because the smell of onion is not as strong in here, but also when it becomes black, this onion sometimes gives a little bit of green in it. So I'm now putting a salt in it, and I will. Okay, now the food is cooking. What I have here is a vegetable stock. I also went out and I picked up some rosemary, which I love. So just a tiny bit of rosemary, fresh rosemary, and the bay leaf. You don't need to put this, but I kind of like it. So now it will be the the barley that I will put in. The barley. So this is instead of rice. I didn't put salt when I was cooking barley. It needs to be cooked in salty water, but I forgot. So I put in a little bit of salt. So now I'm putting the vegetable stock. Should be less of vegetable stock because basically it's already cooked, but I forgot. Anyway, now I need white wine, but since I don't have white wine, I will use the red wine. It should be white wine, but I don't have it. I'm using the red wine. A little bit more. That's it. So that's it. Let it cook for a while. This seafood only needs a couple of minutes, and the barley is already cooked, but I will let it drink all this water that is there. Let me smell it. What a lovely, lovely smell. So that would be it. I will add a little bit of garlic, just a tiny bit more of garlic, and at the end I will add the ink, squid ink, to make it black. I'm a little bit worried that I've put too much water in there, but let's see, maybe. So I will leave it to cook now for about 10 minutes. So I will now add the ink to make it black. So the blacker the better, so I will add lots of ink. Although I like it when it's grey. And I suggest, if you have some ink left, to put it in the freezer, a little bag and in the freezer, rather than to keep it in the fridge. And it's good for the other occasions. So I will now leave it on a very, very low heat to cook for another maybe 10 minutes for the water to become a little bit thicker. So it's now cooking. So now I will cut the parsley. I would prefer the non-curly parsley, but I don't have it. So this is a curly parsley. The sauce is almost, Orsotto is almost ready. So that's it, done. But I would also put a little bit of olive oil on the top, just a tiny bit. That's it, done. It's cooked. Should be less water in there, but that's it. I'll let it stay for a couple of minutes, then I will serve it. So Orsotto is now ready.